This is my book. Das ist mein Buch. The book belongs to me, and therefore I use the possessive adjective that describes the book in such a way. In German, we use these in a very similar way, and they follow a similar pattern to those in English. But the main difference, of course, is that German has genders and cases. This means that we have to use the correct endings on our possessive adjectives in German to make sure that they follow the gender and case rules. Throughout this video, I will be showing a variety of graphics and charts. If you would like to download a copy of these things, you can do that via the link in the description. Before we get too deep into this topic, we need to clear up a bit of confusion around the terminology. In English, possessive pronouns are the words that show possession but do not have a noun behind them. For example, mine, yours, hers, etc. A possessive adjective, however, is the one that is exclusively used with a noun. For example, my book, your car, her shoe, etc. In German, the word Possessivpronomen would literally translate as possessive pronouns in English. The German word Possessivpronomen, however, refers to both possessive word categories that we have in English called possessive pronouns and possessive adjectives. This is why you will occasionally find references online to something called possessive article. These words are specifically the ones that are used in front of nouns, which excludes the ones that can stand on their own. That's the topic of today. I'm not talking about pure possessive pronomen, but rather the subcategory of possessive pronomen, sometimes called possessive article. First, let's start with the base of all possessive adjectives. You are already aware that there are 9 personal pronouns in the nominative case in German. Ich, du, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie, and sie. Each of these pronouns have a corresponding possessive adjective that is used to indicate the owner or the one in possession of an object. For example, if ich own something, we use mein. If du own something, we use dein. To illustrate this further and to introduce you to all of the possessive adjectives, here are a few examples. Ich habe einen Bruder. Das ist mein Bruder. I have a brother. This is my brother. Du hast eine Schwester. Das ist deine Schwester. You have a sister. This is your sister. Quick side note, the E at the end of dein is used to indicate that the Schwester is a feminine noun, just like you would if you said a sister, eine Schwester. These endings will change based on the case and gender of the noun. You may notice that in the first example, I didn't have an ending on mein at all. I simply said mein Bruder. That's because Bruder is a masculine noun and is used in the nominative case in that sentence. If I said a brother instead of my brother in that sentence, it would be das ist ein Bruder. Now, back to the examples. Er hat 2 Cousins. Das sind seine Cousins. He has 2 cousins. These are his cousins. Sie hat einen Onkel. Das ist ihr Onkel. She has an uncle. This is her uncle. Es hat eine Mähne. Das ist seine Mähne. It has a mane. This is its mane. Wir haben eine Wohnung. Das ist unsere Wohnung. We have an apartment. This is our apartment. Ihr habt ein Haus. Das ist euer Haus. You have a house. This is your house. Sie haben ein Boot. Das ist ihr Boot. They have a boat. This is their boat. Sie haben ein Boot. Das ist ihr Boot. You have a boat. This is your boat. Side note number 2, you probably noticed that there are 3 possessive adjectives spelled IHR. The possessive for feminine singular third person is ihr. The possessive for plural third person is ihr. And the possessive for singular or plural in the second person, formal, is ihr. The only one that is even remotely different is the formal one, as it is capitalized. I personally find this to be helpful, as you can simply remember if I would use sie as a pronoun in the nominative case for this person or thing, I would use ihr to show that this possesses something. It doesn't matter if it's her, their, or your, they are all going to use the German possessive adjective ihr. Another one that is duplicated is his and its. They both are translated with sein in German. So our full list of possessive adjectives is mein, dein, sein, ihr, sein, unser, euer, ihr, ihr. I always put them in this order if you're going to use a chart, as this is the same order that you would use for personal pronouns such as ich, du, er, sie, es, etc. And this kind of continuity is helpful when you're using this as a frame of reference. Now for the part about the endings. If you remember my video about the dative case, you'll recall the ein words and their endings. These are all essentially ein, and most of the time you're going to add a letter or two after that. As a quick reminder, that chart looked like this. I also mentioned in that other video that I put k in parentheses in front of ein in the plural forms. This is to indicate that you can't use eine or einen in the plural, but you can use other things that act like ein words, such as kein, the negated one, or possessive adjectives on today's list. That's exactly what we are going to do now. Instead of looking at this chart as ein plus an ending, use the possessive adjective as the base and then add those same letters that you would to an ein word to match the case and gender. Here's a more concrete example of what I mean. Das ist mein Bruder. This is my brother. The possessive adjective is mein. I did not add any letters to the end of that because it's used in the nominative case and Bruder is a masculine noun. Sie mag meinen Bruder. She likes my brother. The possessive adjective here is still mein, but this time I added en to the end of it to show that this is accusative masculine, as Bruder is the direct object of the sentence and therefore accusative. Sie geht mit meinem Bruder ins Kino. She is going to the movies with my brother. Again, the possessive article is mein. Since mit is a preposition that requires the dative case, I use the dative masculine form em. Viewing the chart like this makes it so that you can substitute in whatever word you want to say with the ending that matches the case and gender of the noun. If you want to say a or an, simply use ein plus these endings. If you want to say my, use mein plus those endings. You can continue this for all of the other possessive adjectives as well. There is one little odd thing that you should be aware of. When you say y'allses, or the plural informal you, and the possessive, euer, you will remove the e before the r if there is any ending whatsoever after the r. So instead of eure, you say eure. Instead of eurem, you say eurem. It isn't just when speaking. You also write all of the versions with euer that have an ending after them without the e before the r. Something similar happens with unser. Instead of unsere, you'll often hear unsere. While this is very common in speaking, it is not considered correct to remove those e's in the various versions of unser when you're writing. The bottom line, when speaking, removing the extra e is okay for both unser and euer when there's an ending. Keeping the extra e is only acceptable in the forms of unser. When writing, only remove the extra e with the forms of euer plus an ending. All of those forms of unser should be written with the e in front of the r. Let's take a look at a few more examples to make sure that you get the concept. After that, I'll give you an opportunity to try it out on your own. Since it's more memorable when you have something to watch, I'll do these examples as a short skit based on real conversations I have in class. Guten Morgen, Schüler! Nehmt bitte eure Bücher aus. Macht eure Bücher auf Seite 245. Ich habe mein Buch nicht. Darf ich zum Schließfach gehen, um mein Buch zu holen? Ja. Gibt es noch Schüler, die ihre Bücher nicht mit dabei haben?
Ja, wir haben unsere Bücher auch nicht.
Alle Schüler dürfen nicht gleichzeitig zum Schließfach gehen. Wie viele Schüler haben ihr Buch? 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 8, 12. Okay, eine Hälfte der Schüler hat ein Buch. Also, wenn du kein Buch hast, darfst du mit deinem Nachbarn oder deiner Nachbarin teilen. Dann kannst du einfach von seinem oder ihrem Buch lesen. Darf ich meinen Bleistift anspitzen? Ja. Mein Buch hat die Seite 245 nicht. Jemand hat diese Seite aus meinem Buch gerissen. Naja, sowas passiert, wenn die Bücher älter als die Lehrer sind. Ich werde die Sätze einfach auf der Tafel schreiben. Dann braucht ihr eure Bücher nicht. Ihr braucht aber ein Blatt Papier und einen Bleistift. Haben Sie ein Blatt Papier, das ich borgen kann? Ja, es gibt Papier in meiner Schreibtischschublade. In Ihrer Schreibtischschublade? Ja, dort. Wo ist Ihr Schreibtisch? Oh, diesen Schreibtisch meinen Sie. Ach du meine Güte. Alright, now that you know the daily frustrations of a high school teacher, let's get into the interactive portion of today's lesson. On the screen you will see 10 sentences. Each of them is missing a possessive adjective. I gave you the English translation in parentheses so that you can start by translating that. Then you have to choose the correct ending based on the case and gender of the noun after the possessive adjective. Write your answers in the comments. If you like the charts and other graphics that I used in this video, you can download them for free via the link in the description. If you want more practice with the possessive adjectives in German, you can download a worksheet with an answer key via my website germanwithantrim.com. Alternatively, you can join all of these awesome people on Patreon or by clicking the Join button down below this video and choosing Deutschlerner. Das ist alles für heute. Danke fürs Zuschauen. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!